Welcome back to another episode of Parenting in Progress. I'm Corey.
I'm Jordan.
And we're the Welches. Welcome back to another episode. First things first, we are sorry we missed a week. We ended up getting busy with Halloween and just did not really have time to record a podcast. So we do apologize for that. Next time we will try to give you a little bit of a heads up. We've got the Christmas schedule coming up here next month, and we've been trying to see if we could fit a podcast every week or not. We'll keep you posted on that one. For this week's episode, obviously we gone through Halloween, so we're going to talk about our Halloween recap.
All the spooky celebrations.
In a nutshell, from an overview, we kind of followed our same routine as we did last year. We like splitting it up between the parents. We like going to each set of grandparents and having Karlee trick or treat those.
And I don't know if this will be able to continue forever. You know, she's going to get to a point where she wants to go walk around and trick or treat houses, but she doesn't really understand the concept yet. So while we're just doing this while we can, so both sets of grandparents can see her on Halloween and trick or treat. And yeah, this year daycare was closed on Halloween, so I got to stay home with her, which is a little treat. And so we, instead of going straight to my parents after school like we did last year, I just waited until she was up from her nap and then we headed down.
So to start things out, we did some pre-Halloween activities with Karlee. We wanted to get into the spooky season a little bit. We kind of made it more festive than what we did last year because obviously she didn't really care. But this year she got into it a little bit more.
She did. It was kind of fun. She didn't really seem to care too much about the Halloween decorations that we had up at the house. Now, she did notice the ghosts that we had on the front door and some other things. But other than that, the decoration part she didn't care about. But one thing I saw on Pinterest, I believe, was a sensory rice bin. I try to be, the little fun mom that's doing fun things and having some structured activities instead of just a free-for-all at the house. And I think I made this during our fall break. We had a week at home and I knew I needed to do something to keep her busy and entertained. So it's essentially dyed rice. And I dyed the rice 3 different colors. I did orange, green, and purple. Super simple, just plain rice, vinegar, a couple drops of food coloring, shake it up, and then let it dry for 15 minutes or so. So I did each 3 of those colors and then mixed it into a container. And then we went on a walk to, I believe it was Dollar General, and we got just some Halloween things like little plastic pumpkins and little mummy fingers and spider rings. And I think that was about it. Just some things to add to this sensory bin. And we did get a pumpkin carving kit and I used the scoop out of that so she could scoop the rice. So I laid a plastic tablecloth on the carpet, had her sit down, and she was super excited about it. And I'm like, okay, Jordan, it's okay. Like if she makes a little bit of a mess, it's okay. It's on the tablecloth. Like, don't freak out. And she made a little bit of a mess, but it stayed on the tablecloth and it was easy to clean up. And she enjoyed it. She liked scooping the rice into different containers. We'd put rice in the mummy fingers and she'd dump it out. And it was just something new and fun for her to do. So I really liked it. I think she liked it. And I'm thinking about doing like a Christmas themed one for Christmas break here coming up next month.
Yeah, I saw the rice. It was actually really colorful from what I kind of anticipated it being. It was really bright and it definitely fit the season. She played with it the one night we were here. She loved it. She loved digging stuff into it. She liked obviously taking it out and just grabbing a whole handful of rice and dumping it on the tablecloth. But it's one of those things that you got to vacuum. We've got to vacuum. If it does get off the tablecloth, you can vacuum it right up. It's not really going to make a big mess. It's not like it's dust or something or a marker or anything like that. It's going to take a lot to clean up. So it was pretty good. I think she enjoyed it. One other thing we did was that Friday that Jordan stayed home with her, we've talked about the depot off and on. And that was the week that the depot was closing. Our local depot, it's seasonal. So it opens in April timeframe. And then it closes towards the end of October once it's starting to get cold because they don't really have anything to sell. Everything's kind of dormant around here. So they just shut it up until next spring and away they go. But they always have fall festivities. And had been trying to get over there. And it was a really bad week just from a weather standpoint. It was muddy. It was rainy. It was dreary. That whole week was kind of a mess. And they were closing that weekend and we wanted to go. So we went on a Monday. It was muddy. I was able to take off work early a little bit and we met here at the house and we drove over there. And once we got there, we went in and we're like, hey, we know these activities that were like, what, $5?
Maybe.
Something like that. $5 a kid, I think, and no more than $20 or something like that. But they just had a few activities. Like, hey, we want to do the kids' activities. And they're like, well, we were going to have a school here. And they ended up canceling. You can just go out there. It's muddy. Watch yourself. And so we went out there and they had a straw bale maze. And it was little square straw bales stacked up too high. We had to coax Karlee and they're like, hey, we got to go through this maze. And at first she really didn't know what it was. I don't think overall she kind of knew what it was, but she liked going down these little paths and then it'd stop us. We're like, uh-oh, we got to turn around and go back.
Yeah, she started to figure it out a little bit. Like she'd walk into some place and then she'd turn around and smile and know that she had to go find a different way.
Finally, we got to the end of it. Then we seen the bubbles, which the bubbles all had rainwater in them, and it was kind of muddy, and she really didn't have too much of an interest in it. It was fairly windy too, along with it being chilly, and for us being chilly early was maybe in the 40s, 50s, somewhere in there. So not super cold, but it was chilly. The next thing they had was this water hand pump station that they had these sets of hand pumps that come out of a trough that stores water, and you pump the hand pump to get the water to come out of the pump, and the water would go down these series of little tubes, and basically it'd come right back to you. And they had these all sorts of different little rubber duckies, and you would put them on the tube, and you'd watch them float down and come around and come back as you were pumping the water pump. Well, Dad, he was in charge of making the water flow, and Mom was in charge of Karlee not getting completely wet and figuring out how to place the ducks in there so they would come back. And she loved it, which she loves water stuff all the time. And it was pretty cold. Her hands were pretty darn cold when we got done with that. But that was probably the thing we did the most there out of the three.
Yeah, I would say that was probably her favorite. She was a little upset when we had to move on, but we knew that we were only going to be there for about an hour before it closed. So we had to keep moving.
And so once we got done flushing the ducks down the tubes, underneath one of their greenhouse awnings, they had some square bales stacked up, and they had a big pile of corn there. And so they had dumped corn in there, and we stuck Karlee in it, and she just kind of goes crazy with her hands and moving the corn around, getting handfuls of it and dropping it. And she couldn't really move in it, though, very well. She could not figure out that she could walk in it or at least scoot on her knees or crawl. She just couldn't really move. It was like she was stuck all the time.
Mm-hmm. And she just kind of sat there to her like, you can crawl to Dada, go follow him.
Anyway, the one thing she did like is I took the corn, I'd throw it up on and hit the top of the greenhouse, which was kind of like a rubberized silicone deal, and it'd make a noise. And she kind of liked that, so I'd throw it up there once or twice, and she played around in it just a little bit, and after that, she was just kind of done. And so we went back into the depot, and they had a sale. They had like a year-end sale. They had some bags of chips that were 30% off. It was 30% off of their apples or whatever they had left. That was just a good little last depot run for 2025.
Yeah, and there's pumpkins outside, and I was going to grab another one or two, but she had no interest in actually picking the pumpkins. She was more excited running up and down the ramp to the door. So I picked out a couple pumpkins, and then of course we had to get one last slushie before we left. And that's always the highlight of Karlee. You know, she's so pumped to drink it. So it was just one last little hurrah before they closed, I think. Like I said before, I was off with Karlee on Halloween Day, and I was debating whether to carve a pumpkin with her or not. You know, we didn't do it last year. I was like, oh, do I want to or not? Like, it's messy and I don't know. And then I was like, you know what? Do it. Like, if it's a mess, it's a mess, whatever. So we're on the kitchen floor and we get the plastic tablecloth out. I get her the pumpkin. You know, she has no idea what's going on, but I get a bowl and I'm cutting the top off and I show her what's inside and I grab a scoopful and show it to her. And she then decides to stick her hand in there. And I was afraid she was going to not like it because it's cold, it's slimy, but she didn't mind it, you know, and I gave her a spoon and she was sticking the spoon in there. I mean, she wasn't getting too much seeds and stuff out of it, but she was having fun. And then I would scoop them out, put them in a bowl, and then she would really like the bowl of stuff. She was taking her spoon and stirring it around and, hey, Karlee, what do you think of pumpkin carving? And she said she's cooking. She said, I'm cooking. And I'm like, you're cooking? She's like, yeah, cooking supper. I said, oh, you're cooking supper. And then she's like, mac and cheese. I said, oh, are you making mac and cheese? Yeah. So she was having fun pretending to be cooking as I'm scraping it out. And then I carved the face on it. And when I got one eye that was a triangle, I spun it around and showed it to her. And she goes, triangle? I said, yeah, that's a triangle. This is going to be an eye. Then I do the other one and do the nose and the mouth. And it was so funny when I turned it around when she's done, she'd smile at it, say, hi. She'd say hi to the jack-o'-lantern. And then I think I went and got a candle and I turned all the lights off, you know, and this is like 9 o'clock in the morning. So shut the blinds, turned all the lights off, and I got a candle and lit it and put it on there. I said, look, Karlee, it's a jack-o'-lantern. And she kind of looked at it for a little bit and then she was kind of done. Like, she definitely liked scooping and stirring and doing that stuff with the pumpkin. But it was probably like at least 30 to 40 minute activity. She sat on the kitchen floor and just was entertained. And it was kind of nice to break up the day a little bit.
Yeah, and you tried to get me in on it.
I did.
You tried FaceTiming me. Right at that point, I was in the middle of a meeting that I was kind of being in charge of. So could not answer, but I did call you back afterwards. Like, oh, we were just carving our pumpkin, and Jordan sent me a couple pictures, and it looked pretty good. I'm not a professional pumpkin carver. I don't like pumpkins. I don't like the smell of pumpkins. The only thing I like of pumpkins is Jordan makes a pumpkin cake that is thebomb.com, and I also like pumpkin pie this time of year. Those are the only things I have to do with pumpkins. Other than that, the seeds on the inside, that is wet, nasty, smelly stuff. It's just the smell of the inside of the pumpkin I do not like.
And I don't mind the smell. It's just the constant having something on my hands. Like, I want to wash my hands like 15 times while I'm carving it. But it was not as big of a pumpkin as we were used to getting and growing up and carving this big, huge pumpkin. It was on the smaller side. So it didn't take up too much time. This wasn't on Halloween Day, but leading up to Halloween, I decided to have taco night, and we had a quesadilla that was a jack-o'-lantern face. So I had one tortilla, and then you'd put cheddar cheese on it, and then you'd carve out a little jack-o'-lantern face on the top tortilla, and then heat it up so the orange cheese would shine through the top tortilla. Karlee liked it. She smiled at it. She thought it was cool, but she did not want anything to do with eating it. So that plan failed, but at least she liked the looks of it. We also have a book bin in our living room that I rotate the books out every couple weeks probably. And I pulled out all of our Halloween books, probably like a month before Halloween at least. So she's looking at her Halloween books, and she really liked There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Ghost. I loved that one. And then I had another one that was The Old Lady Who Swallowed a Bat, but she did not want that. She'd say, no. And she'd push it away and she'd go get her ghost book. I'm like, whatever, we'll read this one again.
I don't know how many times we read That Old Lady Who Swallowed a Ghost, but I have it memorized. And it got to the point where you could read it fast, you could read it slow, it didn't matter. She just wanted it read.
I did put it back away, and we got out. There was an old lady who swallowed a turkey. So the ghost book is gone until next year.
Oh my Lord. It was one of those books. You parents understand that I've already been through it, and you parents that haven't been through it yet, oh boy. It just every night, same book, 4, 5, 6 times a night. Holy smokes.
You get done reading it and you're like, okay, let's get another one. More. Okay, we'll read it again. Last time.
And so kind of our morning routine that week of Halloween was, we get Karlee up, we generally set her down, and she likes watching just a little bit of TV as she wakes up, and we get around. Well, Miss Rachel came out with the Miss Rachel Halloween edition episode. And so kind of that whole week, she only watches probably not even 10 minutes worth, probably 5 to 7 minutes worth of it by the time we're ready to, by the time we get around, get her changed and get out the door, it's pretty quick. And so that whole week we watched the Miss Rachel's one. So it was kind of themed, and she loves Miss Rachel, just completely loves her. We did go shopping not too long before. We had to go to Sam's Club, and we got some grocery stuff there. And we have been looking for the veggie puffs, and it's 3 different flavors of these veggie puffs, and they haven't had them for a while. And so we've tried the straws, we've tried some different things. They had a Halloween edition veggie chip, basically. And it was ghosts and bats. And so we're like, heck, that's the next best thing, a puff. She could eat those. And so we got them, gave them to Karlee, and we had to teach her the ghosts and bats. She'd open it up. She really didn't know which one it was. Well, I just taught her one has ears on its head and the other one has a smooth head. So the ghost had the smooth head and the bats had ears. And after that, every time she had those for snack, bat, ghost. That was kind of our spooky food that we had. We still have probably 3/4 of the box left. So we're going to be eating them probably into Christmas at this point, but it was pretty neat. She liked them. Now, I will say, when you do those chips, they tend to break and they get all over the place. So just FYI, you're going to have them in your carpet. You're going to have them on the couch because they're kind of like a chip, and they're a little bit messier than like what the puffs were. The puffs were really greasy. They were just a little more messy from a crumb standpoint.
Yeah, and she loves chips. So getting something that for a snack that she likes that essentially is a chip, but definitely not as unhealthy, was something fun. And it was festive. So it's cute to hear her say ghosts and bats, because after snack, we'll go and we'll take her and say, well, okay, what do you want for snack? And ghosts and bats, goats.
Goats.
Yeah, sometimes it comes out as goats, but ghosts and bats. Karlee's costume this year was a black cat.
I think we mentioned that before.
Did we? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Well, she loves cats. We do not have a cat because I do not love cats, but she likes cats. And I got some clothes hand-me-down from a friend that was like black velvety flare pants. And then there was a onesie, long sleeve onesie. And I'm like, you know what? This would make a really good black cat costume. And I think that's what kind of decided it. So we got little black cat ears and cat tail at Walmart. And I got the little paint sticks to draw whiskers and a little nose on her. So she made like the cutest cat ever. So we had black boots too. So she was all blacked out. And then we taught her some Halloween phrases. We would teach her when we were telling her what a ghost was. We'd say, a ghost says boo. And then we'd say, okay, trick or treat. You need to go and say trick or treat, and they'll get you a little treat in your basket. But her trick or treat sounded like chick, 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 chick.
Yeah, it's very similar to her chicken. You're like, oh, is that a chicken? Chicky, 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 chicky. It was pretty identical to that. But she got the saying. She said it every door we walked up to.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, she already knew how to say meow. And then we'd get her to try to say Happy Halloween.
She got most of that. I was surprised. It was like a Happy Halloween. Mm-hmm. She really didn't get the L's, but she got the W's. Then it becomes Halloween evening. And as we talked before, we hit up both sets of parents. So how we kind of scheduled that is I was working that day, and Jordan and Karlee, we were going to go down to Jordan's parents, which is the same town where I work. They loaded up, and they were going to hit up a couple of Jordan's aunts. Well, that didn't really pan out. We were going to do those first and then head on over to Jordan's parents, where she'd have the cousins show up. Kind of everybody shows up at the same time, and they divvy out the candy, and we kind of stand around, chat a little bit, and then we all take off our separate ways and go get some more candy. We went down there. She said trick or treat and showed up, met up. We got some candy, and Jordan's mom gave her some other stuff because we know there's probably 90% of the candy Karlee can't actually have. So they'll get her some other stuff.
Yeah, it was like a little goodie basket. She had a couple things, a little Play-Doh and little finger puppets and a little packet of cotton candy and a Halloween book. And I think she had a little jack-o'-lantern ball, some just other little goodie treats that weren't all candy, which was nice. And she liked digging through them and seeing what she got. And it was fun. We stayed there for a little bit, and then we hit the road. You were in your work truck, so we both drove, met at the house. I ordered some Dairy Queen on the app, went and picked that up. And then we switched over to just Corey's truck, and then we drove over to his parents and ate Dairy Queen on the go. It was a time saver. You know, Halloween, there's so much to do, and it gets dark early. And when you're in a different town from where you live, like, it was just a quick little, we don't have to stop and eat. We were killing two birds with one stone.
And if I remember right, she didn't eat the best.
No, she did.
Did she eat the best?
She ate really good. She ate the whole time that I didn't even get to eat mine until we got to your parents.
That's right. I couldn't remember if she didn't eat hardly at all or if she ate a whole bunch.
Yeah, she loved her chicken strips and her French fries and her applesauce, chocolate milk. She had it all.
So then we get to my side, and obviously we had to repaint her face because she had been wiping some of it off and she had a mess on her nose. So we got her all painted up real quick, got her boots back on, and off she went up to the front door. And once again, you know, she wants to go ding dong, which she always hits the doorbell at my parents' house. Or once in a while, if she wants to knock on the door, she'll go knock, 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 knock. She just says it generally. And so she trick-or-treated them, and we stayed there for a little bit. Jordan finally got to eat once we got there. The whole time we were there, obviously the town kids were coming to mom and dad's house, and they were trick-or-treating, and she had to go look at everybody. She had to go see what they were wearing, and she wasn't ever scared of any costume the whole time. And I was kind of impressed by that. I figured she'd kind of freak out on something. You know, if somebody was there and you couldn't really see their face, and it's like, oh, I'm staying away from that thing.
Well, even one of my nephews was like a blow-up chicken, and he blew up the chicken, and she was like right next to him, and she just kind of looked at him like, what are you wearing? But she wasn't scared or afraid or anything like that.
And so from there, we did have a Halloween party that we were invited to that started kind of towards the end of trick-or-treat time. So we got around, and then that was another 20-minute drive. And the whole time Karlee we did get her a pumpkin glow stick. It was a glow stick where a pumpkin fit on the end of it, and it was orange. And we snapped that sucker open because we're like, heck, you got to use it sometime. And it was already dark by then, so she was waving that thing around in the back seat as we headed off to the party. Got to the party, and it was really foggy. They had like 2 fog machines going, and they had been running for an hour and a half probably. You couldn't really see a whole lot. And I didn't really know how freaked out Karlee would get. Once again, I was kind of worried because everybody was dressed up. I mean, really dressed up to where they had face makeup on and all these things. There was people wearing masks where she just looked at everybody.
And it was also dark too, but not dark enough that you can't see that someone's wearing a costume. But yeah, she didn't whine or anything like that. She just kind of looked at him like, whatever.
And they had music going. So obviously little Miss Dancing Queen was shaking her booty over there and just dancing to it. We did sneak a song of Chicken Nana in on it as well.
We did.
And we figured out they had an Alexa, so we said, "Hey Alexa, play Chicken Nana." And then I think the people that had the party were like, "I don't know what this song is. We're going to turn that stuff off," which is fine. We got snuck in. They had some snacks, they had some drinks, and Karlee found, what was it, the Rice Krispie treats. Had to have Rice Krispie treats there. So Grandma was following her around, holding a Rice Krispie treat.
And lemonade. There was like a sugar-free lemonade or something. Oh, yeah. So she had to carry around her little cup with just a little bit of lemonade in it, drinking it and getting refills.
She did spill just a little bit. It wasn't too bad. I got it cleaned up with a Kleenex, so it wasn't too bad.
And in this Halloween party, it was very decorated. It was like a Halloween birthday party for one of our family friends, and she loves Halloween, so she went all out on the decorations. So Karlee's running around looking at the decorations and seeing the little pumpkins, and then she'd see the little battery-operated lights, like candle lights, that were scattered out and about, and she'd have like 3 in one hand at a time. We're like, "Karlee, you got to go put those back." And she'd go, "Candle, hot." I said, "Yes, those are candles. They're not, a real flame, but I'm glad that you're associating a candle with hot, but even though you're still holding it, but whatever."
Anyway, we probably got there at 8:39-ish probably. So it was already getting to be Karlee's bedtime. And she was a trooper. She kept going. And finally, we knew we weren't going to stay very long. We were probably planning on about a half an hour. We might have stayed 45 minutes.
Yeah, we honestly thought that she wasn't going to last very long and we would just leave. But even when we left, she was finally getting a little tired, but not super cranky or anything like that.
No, things were starting to get escalated by the time we were starting to leave. You could see her rubbing her eyes, and then Grandpa was trying to eat her Rice Krispie treat and must have bit down on her finger a little bit. It was not a big deal at all. There was no red mark, nothing the next day, and she was crying, which part of me thinks that she was going to give him a bite, and then when he actually took a bite, then she was really mad because, like, "No, I didn't really mean that.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do that anymore."
I was just teasing you. Yeah, no, she was fine. She was just tired. And when she's tired, every little minor inconvenience is a big deal. So we had to calm her down from that. And we're like, this is our sign. We need to go. You're tired and you need to go to bed.
So then on the drive back, she obviously fell asleep. And so we got her out of the car, got her into the house, and she's still in her costume. So we're like, okay, how are we going to handle this? Because she's sleeping. And she was out pretty cold too. She was in a deep sleep. So we get the diaper, we get the sleep sack, setting it all beside her so we can just make a quick transition. We'll just pull her clothes off fast, put her in it, and put her in the crib. And it went pretty well for the most part. The worst part is we thought about leaving the whiskers on her, but we're like, man, that might just make a mess on her sheets. And it'd probably just rub off, and she'd probably rub her eyes, and it would get nasty. So we're like, okay, we are going to have to get a wet wipe out, and we're going to have to wipe her face, and it's going to be cold, and she's going to probably wake up. Darn it. So we wipe it off as fast as we can. She does wake up, but it wasn't an actual wake up. Eyes were open for about 15 seconds, and then boom, back to sleep. She was pooped. She was completely tuckered out. So we were able to get her in her sleep sack, transferred her to the crib, turned the Nana on, and bam, that was the wrap up of Halloween. We kind of finished some other stuff, sorted through the candy, and made sure we had everything from the parties and from the grandparents, pulled it all out of the truck, and that was kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, she partied hard and crashed quickly.
Yeah, it was a big day. It was a big day for the girls between the pumpkin carving and all that stuff. It was big. So.
Yeah, it was fun. I told my coworkers at work, I'm like, it kind of feels like I'm like playing hooky. She's not sick, but daycare's closed, and usually one of the grandparents watches her. But I took the day off this time, and it was fun. We had a fun, festive Halloween. Now, up next is to get all holly jolly Because I love Thanksgiving, but I'm ready for Christmas.
Yeah, as we're recording this, once we get done, sounds like we're going to have to get the tree down from the attic.
Yep.
And when little Karlee wakes up, it's going to be up there. So stay tuned in the next episode. I'm sure we'll have some stuff on how she's going to react to the tree this year. With that being said, that was our 2025 Halloween. We appreciate it. Once again, sorry about last week. We will do a better job next time of giving you guys a heads up if we missed something. It just did not work out, and we did not get any time to really record it. So we're like, hey, we'll just make it in this week. So with that being said, thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you for listening to Parenting in Progress. If you like what you heard and you're listening to us on YouTube, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. If you're listening to us on other platforms, go ahead, give us a follow and a rating. We truly appreciate it. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.